Burt?
6 or 7.
There's 9. You've counted the house now. I can't see. Oh my gosh, look. There are thousands. This is wonderful. Now, if you'll all buy a picture.
Hey, you know, the light's shining here. Do we have a microphone in the room somewhere? I can't see. Is there a line? Have we got someone at the mic now? No? Okay, we're done, guys. We're ready to go. We're almost done. We got someone. How are you? I can't see. Go ahead, sir.
I'm doing very well. Mr. Adam West, Mr. Burt, I'd like to be the first to welcome you here to the Metroplex.
Thank you.
And I even have 2 questions for you two. One, how did it feel to drive the original Batmobile?
That was my question.
How does it feel to drive it?
Yes.
Well, Burt, how does it feel to ride in it?
Not very safe when you're driving.
Right, all the way. Well, let me tell you, to drive the original Batmobile was not an easy thing. It looked great on film, didn't it? Yeah, let's hear it for the Batmobile. There's 7 Batmobiles now. You know, the little ones, different sizes. I can't believe this. The Batmobiles are everywhere. But to drive the damn thing, The suspension was terrible, the brakes didn't work, the accelerator jammed. Burt is the bravest guy in the world that he would ride with me in that car. But it sure looked good on film.
Anything to add, Burt? Anything to add?
No, just Adam said it exactly the way it is, and it made it even more difficult for Adam wearing that cowl because it made him look cross-eyed in the mask. And as a result, that's why you see a lot of weaving of the Batmobile.
Hey, thanks. We got someone else on the microphone?
I have one more question, actually.
Yeah.
And this is to you, Burt. When Batman was behind the metal poles, I'd like for you to say one line for me.
Okay.
When he jumped out and scared you half to death.
What episode was this?
This was actually in the movie that you guys performed in.
The 66 or the Return to the Batcave?
Actually, this was one that was called Batman the Movie, where he and Burt were chasing the monster villains in a submarine.
Yes.
Okay, we'll remember that part, but I don't remember. You said that I jumped out behind.
No, Burt, you were there by the metal poles when Adam West jumped out, and he scared you half to death when you said one line.
You're amazing. We've forgotten all the dialogue. This is great.
That's what
Remember what I
scripts are
said?
for.
If so, I'll repeat.
I do remember what you said.
What did he say?
Holy heart failure.
No, wait a minute. I think what you're referring to in the movie where there was Captain Schmidlapp.
Yes.
Commander Schmidlapp, and that was at the Santa Barbara Pier.
That's right.
And where there was an explosion is what it was.
Yes.
And we weren't expecting that, right?
Yes, there were a lot
I
of
said,
things we didn't expect.
holy heart failure!
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks for your question. Excellent point, guys. Is there someone else at the mic? Oh, right. Speak up.
I just wanted to thank you both for coming, and it's just a thrill for me to meet you here. You just can't even imagine. Anyway, I want to direct this to Burt Ward. I know that in the beginning he said that you ran a rescue group. Could you tell us a little more about that, please?
Okay, well, you just that my wife and I are very interested in animals because they're very loving, they're very innocent, and most people have dogs or cats. In fact, I think there's 85 million dogs in the United States, 63 million households. And it was just something that we decided to rescue, and in 18 years we've rescued about 15,000 dogs. Found them safe, we hadn't done it. And what we're really thrilled about is that we decided, my wife and I, because we rescue primarily giant breed dogs like Great Danes and St. Bernards and Irish Wolfhounds, and they traditionally have very short lifespans of about 7 to 9 years. And my wife and I have spent a lot of money and a lot of time. We have actually developed a food, it's called Gentle Giants, because that's the name of our rescue, that has actually doubled the average lifespan of dogs. You can read it about our website. How you care for your dog, how you feed your dog. And for people who love dogs, it's nice to be able to have it with you twice as long. So you can go to our website, which is www.gentlegiantsrescue.com, and read all about it. And thank you.
Thank you
That's
very
amazing.
much.
Thank you.
Now we think, how do we do that for humans?
You gotta eat my dog food.
Let's go to this side of the room over here and take a question.
This question's to Burt. I was just wondering how you came up with your catchphrases from Batman.
Well, we had some very good script writers. We actually, I think we had something like 32 writers on Batman. They didn't always get it right, so both Adam and I would make suggestions, and sometimes we make changes. And you remember making lots of changes.
I changed.
We were always constantly in trouble with the censors because of some of our changes.
I changed sometimes.
You did, that's right.
Yes, I
And
did.
in your utility belt, what did you keep there? You had a host of things in your utility belt.
Well, I changed it often.
But what was inside your utility belt?
Gee, Dickie,
Like
sorry. It's like the Smothers Brothers now. I'm getting into this kind of routine. Hey, Dickie, well,
Hey, Dickie.
I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. The Bat Shield.
Yes.
Anything I'd ever need. What?
Change of underwear?
I don't wear them.
I think we better get on to another question. Let's take another one from this side of the room.
This is for both of you, but what was it like being Batman and Robin?
What was it like? That is the hardest question I've ever had. Because it changed hourly. Some moments we hated it, other moments we loved it. I mean, you know, when I was a little kid and I read the Batman comics, and then I went out and played Batman. So the most fun I had was, hey Burt, let's go play Batman and Robin. When we put those things on.
Yes, yes. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for us. It was also a very dangerous show to make. I don't think they had all the precautions that they should have taken.
For you, maybe.
Yeah.
Damn, Zowie.
Crime fighter, so, you know, and in fact, by the end of the, well, let's see, they actually took out a $3 million life insurance policy on me.
What part of
I thought they were trying to collect. But we had a lot of fun doing it, and it was fun climbing the walls, fighting these heinous villains. Costumes weren't as much fun as you might think. I don't think man was built for tights.
You've heard the expression climbing the walls. Well, some days we'd be climbing the walls all day, 10, 12 hours, but they sure paid us well. It was terrific. Really, those were wonderful years. And to be able to sit here with you folks who've enjoyed the show for over 40 years. I mean, how many actors get a chance, like Burt and myself, to create characters that assume a place in pop culture like we have? So I can only say, it's sure fun to be an icon.
And let me add to that. Last month, Adam was given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And he also received one other thing, which goes back to playing Batman. He was inducted into the Guinness World Book of Records for making the most on-screen appearances as Batman.
Yeah!
There's another reason too, Andrew.
There's a what, sorry?
Another reason. I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records twice.
Twice. What's the second time?
Well, no, I can't say. I I think I'm there as the
The
actor
bat
who
pole.
waited the longest to get a star on the sidewalk. Little did they know that I have stars on sidewalks all over the world.
Let's hop to this side of the room again, take another question.
Throughout the series of the span of the series, you advocated many different lessons in humanity that were taken to a somewhat extreme point. For example, you refused to fight the bookworm while he was wearing glasses. And Robin, Burt Ward, you even got kidnapped by a gang of girls because you would not fight a female. Do you both have a favorite? Out of all the different lessons that you took to that kind of extreme, do each of you have a favorite?
Well, we did have a lot of stuff. You know, there was actually, at the time that we were filming, there was a scene we had to shoot for the National Safety Council regarding our seatbelts. You know what I mean, about buckling up, and I think Adam had the line as Batman, is like, you gotta buckle up. And I said, oh, we're only going a few blocks, Batman. You know, I said, oh no, you gotta, you know, and so
I remember
we did
that.
different things like that. I think there was another one, we were standing outside, or up on a building, we were about to break in, and I had this big steel grate that we'd taken off the window, and I was about to throw it, no. He said, no, Robin, you know, pedestrian safety. And then,
Yeah, I
I love
remember
the
that
one
stuff.
where when we're after some heinous villain and we burst out of the building toward the Batmobile, start to jump in, Burt doesn't quite make it because I stop Robin and I say, you have to put a quarter in the parking. This is some typical Batman goofiness. It's wonderful.
It's awesome.
You're talking about
The kids believed in Andrew, and the adults laughed along with us. That's great.
Right, you're talking about the morals and how good, but I have an email here from a fan that couldn't make it. His name's Kevin from Austin. He said, Mr. West, I recently heard you on a radio interview talking about Adam West naked. Could you let me know a little bit more about that and phone me later?
Let me just stand up and, no. Listen, the DVD of the Batman television series has not been released, as you know. And I guess they're still battling over who gets whatever slice of the pie. And so I decided to do my own DVD. I called it Adam West Naked, in which I expose everything that you ever wanted to know about 120 episodes. AdamWest.com, you can buy it today.
Awesome. Let's go back to this side of the room, take another question.
Hello, gentlemen. Back in 1991, you recorded vocals for an episode of Batman the Animated Series, Beware the Gray Ghost, and you actually played Batman's inspiration, the Gray Ghost. The previous Batman series that really catered to kids was back in the 60s when you did it, and then there was the animated series. What did each of you think of that when they revamped everything, the transition from, you know, the very happy-go-lucky, somewhat campy 1960s to this much darker animated series?
I don't know. Give me the bottom line, Andrew, of the question.
How was it doing the Gray Ghost, which is very dark and serious, compared to doing the 60s series or your Filmation Batman?
Well, you know, they're just two different characters, and if somebody calls and wants me to do something, and I say, "Say, Jack, I'll do it."
Exactly.
And yes, thank you for noticing. They're now thinking about doing the Gray Ghost as a series. Anyway. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you for the question. Back to this side of the room.
Quick two-part thing. First, Mr. Ward, what was it like? There was a crossover episode or two in the 1960s where the Green Hornet and Kato came on. What was it like fighting with Bruce Lee there? I mean, you compare different things. Second part of the question is, what do you two gentlemen think of the way that the Batman series has taken off today? It's a much darker tone. I know things were a lot different swinging in the 60s, but what do you think of how it's taken on today?
Okay, well, to answer the first part of your question, Most people don't know this, but at the time I was filming Batman, I lived in a condominium complex that Bruce Lee also lived in. And he and I were friends, and we actually trained together and sparred together. So fighting him on Batman, which, by the way, from a trivia standpoint, was Bruce Lee's first film fight scene was fighting me. But we actually, sparred together off camera, and he was a great martial artist. I do remember, this is back in 1966, where his wife Linda and I and Bruce and Brandon, who was 6 months old, that was his son. We'd go to dinner down in Chinatown in Los Angeles, and he was a really great guy, very, very smart, trained 8 hours a day. So he was really a terrific martial artist and a nice guy. In terms of the way Batman is portrayed now, our series was a family series designed for all ages. Kids looked upon it as hero worship. The adults looked upon it as the nostalgia of the comic book, and the teenagers and the college kids enjoyed the double entendres and the double meanings and all the fun stuff we did. But when they made the movies, they decided to go for the teenage crowd that would buy tickets to movie theaters, and it had to be everything, a lot darker in terms of what the studio felt would sell best. It's a different approach. They were very successful, all these Batman movies. They're very well done. They're just not, in my opinion, kid-oriented.
Right. All right, thanks for your time.
And your costumes were way better too. There was no rubber at all. It was all the
False muscle.
That's it. Let's go over this side of the room again for another question.
Burt's pretty much all the questions already we're planning on asking already been asked. So I know you guys probably don't want to repeat those answers, but one question is, do you guys still keep in touch with the other actors and actresses from the original TV show?
Adam?
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's Frank Ocean. Look, and Burgess Meredith. Oh my gosh. Caesar Romero. It's hard to stay in touch. And Burt has always been my medium, psychic. The thing is, when we do these Batman conventions and signings and so on, yes, occasionally Julie Newmar, Catwoman, shows up. Yeah, another Catwoman, for example, Leanne Merriweather, Yvonne Craig. I don't know who else, Burt.
Yvonne Craig.
Actually, there aren't any left, are there? Give me some more vodka. No, we're doing okay. And by the way, you asked a good question a moment ago, and Burt was answering them. Let me just add one thing. The Dark Knight, the new movies, are quite different from ours. Our older Batman movie, the series, and so on. Now, if you analyze the comic books, they changed over the years too. They were lighthearted, they were quippy, they were funny at one point, and then they got dark, and then you had the graphic novels and so on. What we did, we took the times, and during the 60s, the kind of times there were, and what we did was really put a light on those times with all our basic colors and splash and everything that we did with Batman and the social satire. And I don't want to go on and sound like a college professor, but we did things that had never been done before. And as a result, the series hit huge. And it continued for about 3 years that way. Then it had nowhere to go but down, and the studio wanted to recoup the money and go into reruns, which is what they did. And then they discovered that you people continue to watch, which has been amazingly wonderful for us. Now, you have a Dark Knight, the explosions, the mayhem, the turbulence, the bloodshed. I am the Bright Knight. this apples and oranges.
Great. Let's pop back to this side of the room for another one.
And I just want to make one comment, Adam West. Compared to some of my college professors, I think you would have been a pretty fun professor for one of my classes. At least two, most likely.
You think Adam would have been a good professor?
Well, I think it would have made it more fun.
We saw a sign today that said Adam West for president. I think he should be president.
Well, I'm very satisfied just being the mayor of Quahog.
Yeah! All right, let's go back to this side of the
This one's for Burt. The TV show, you were always kissing up to Batman.
I don't think I would quite describe it.
Did that ever annoy you or anything?
No, I'll tell you something. I consider myself incredibly lucky because it is true in a lot of different television shows, the co-stars don't always get along, and for different reasons. But Adam and I have always been great friends, and he was like a mentor to me.
Well, where's that $20 show?
And when I started really, I had studied acting professionally and at college at UCLA, but I actually hadn't done anything. And when I came into Batman, Adam was an incredibly great friend, and he really, showed me the ropes, what to try to avoid, things like, what you don't want to do so that you end up looking bad and stuff like that. And it was really a great help. He also got me in a lot of trouble. But I will say overall it's been a really wonderful relationship, and I consider myself very, very lucky to have Adam as my friend.
Well, Burt, that's a fun. Tell us about your trouble.
Well, I could go on for hours.
Yes.
We had a scene. Let me just tell you kind of a fun thing that Adam did, because Adam's got the most wonderful sense of humor. Okay, he comes across very dignified as he is, very sophisticated. Kind of like Winston Churchill. And yet there's a very wild and crazy guy inside that bottle. We had a scene. I don't know if how many of you saw it with Batgirl, where we had brought Batgirl into the Batcave. Did anybody remember that scene? We had given her a little knockout of bat gas, brought her in, showed her the Batcave, and then on the way out, we had to kind of knock her out again so she wouldn't remember where the Batcave was. Well, we had this shot, or this scene where we're in the Batmobile, and of course Adam is going to start driving in a minute, and I'm sitting in my passenger side, and Batgirl is between us, and I had a line, something like, "Gosh, Batman, Batgirl is really very pretty." And Batman's line was something to the effect of, "Well, Robin, I'm glad you noticed, shows that you're growing up," or something like that. Well, Adam really is very good as an actor. He's really good. He doesn't make mistakes. So when we went through 13 takes of him not getting it right, I knew something was more than just an accident here. And of course the director and the crew was hysterical because they're on a budget. It cost something like $30,000 an hour back in 1966 for the crew of 80 people to film. So when Adam knew that they'd get to a point where they just have to take whatever was the good shot that worked. You know what I mean? They'd have to take anything at that point. He knew how he could stretch the elastic to just that point where it was about to break. And I knew something was about to happen. So the 14th take, roll camera, action, and I say, "Gosh, Batman, that girl is really very pretty." And Adam had a line that he created. He said something about, "I'm glad you noticed, Robin. It shows the oncoming thrust of manhood."
Your thrust.
Well, everybody was so thrilled that we had actually got through the shot without saying, oh, stop camera or whatever. Okay, they didn't really pay attention to what was said. However, the next week when the censors came and we were called in to see the executive producer, we heard a lot about that.
Adam claims his innocence. Next question over this side, please.
Yes, you talked a little about the changes of Batman as he was back when you guys were doing the show to the movies now. But just one question, and Adam, you talked about reading the comics when you were younger. Did both of you ever imagine that the Batman legacy would get as big and grow to the size and proportions that it has today?
No. I never imagined that. I never thought about that. All I thought about was doing the work as best I could every hour that we were on the stage. And to know the future